So it's like an automatic warm-up feature. Alright, so I've been working on my throttle valve all day. This is a Bendix, and this is what goes in there. My biggest problem is trying to find O-rings, and this is what I had in the bottom groove, and this one in the top groove, but it doesn't allow it to move freely. And then inside here, I put it back together. It's got a rod, and on one end, it's got a metal ball that goes in that hole, so when this goes down it pushes on that rod, and on the other end is a rubber ball, and there's an aluminum piece in there that it seats against, so when it lifts that rubber ball off the seat, and then the metal one goes in there, which is the exhaust hole, and it shuts the air off, and it acts against this O-ring. And then there's a little teeny hole right there, and that comes out right there and pushes on this bigger piston. And this spring goes in there, so you got a light one, and then you got these heavy ones. Anyway, you can't buy parts for any of this, and standard O-rings just won't work. It has to seal but yet move freely in the bore, and standard ones just don't want to work. So I got to figure out what I'm going to do there. So last year, I think it was, Cat said they had a changeover, and this is the new valve right here. This stupid thing, and it has hardly any movement to it. And then this big nasty ass pedal goes in there, and so I set it all up and I put it in the hole, and this pedal comes down and it hits the throttle lock, so that's not going to work. So what I'd have to do is cut this pedal down to about the same size as that one. And no, I can't use my pedal on this mount. It's a really hokey system. Williams Controls built this one, and I don't know if this valve, see, the thing is with an air throttle, you got to have some way to adjust it, and this has absolutely no adjustment whatsoever. And the air throttle, this bolts to the top of it, and this is what the pedal pushes on, and you have a lock nut here, and you can adjust this so that as you push both throttles, you can adjust the rear one so that they engage at the same time and pretty much run the same amount of power. And where this one has no adjustment, I don't know how they expect that to work. You're either going to be dragging the back end, or the back end's going to be pushing against the front one constantly and overheating. So I don't know, it just has no movement. That great big long pedal buries this thing just right away. So I don't know. I think I'll just throw all that shit in the garbage. That's $600 and some worth of shit. It just gets frustrating when everything's obsolete. I guess that's the price you pay for running older iron. So I got the oil changed in the rear motor, got that switch put back together, got another switch coming, and I also got one coming from Napa. Get my new Sean DeVoe hat that he sent me. Thank you, Sean. Anyway, geez, I hope I get done with this soon. Then I gotta grease it, charge the AC, and she's ready to go. Then I can start on 2 more of them. All right, so this is a throttle valve that I obtained through a friend of mine. He's passed on now. So I needed some series 200 O-rings. So there's 100, 200, and 300. 100 is a 16th, 200 is 1/8 inch, and 300 is 3/16 thick. And this was the one that was in the bottom of the valve, and it was holding it up, wouldn't release it. And there was tons of rust and debris under the rubber ball valve here. This one I like better because it's got a brass piece and a ball. There's no rubber to go to pot ever. I've robbed some shims out of this one. There's some real thin brass shims that go in here. And part of the reason my other one was constantly revving up the rear engine is this would go down and it would push on that seat too far down, and it would literally open the valve. So I stole the tube that were left in here to use in my other one, and but this one I could fix. Anyway, long story, I go to the bearing store in town. Do you have any series 200 O-rings? What's that? Shops don't seem to know. Anyway, I called Andy Bloomquist, and he told me I probably needed a 205. 205. It's a 200 series O-ring. Anyway, so I ended up going to my Case IH dealer, Titan Machinery, and I got one of these. And it was these are like a 70 Duro, and he found one in the size I need that was probably a 50 Duro, nice and soft, which is better in an air valve. But he didn't have the smaller one that I needed. So I went to Agri-Service, the other farm tractor dealer, and found the small one to fit it. Put it together, it moves great, it's sealed up. So we're gonna go out and find out if it works. Should we try to start it with no glow plugs? Let's try it. Looky there. Oil pressure. Turn the hitch on so it doesn't sit there and go Oh, you know what? My new switch came today. So now I get to change that other one. Made in the USA. So these are the people you want to do business with if you want to Made America stuff. It's Romaine Electric Corporation, 1100, what is that? 112 South, 300 West, Salt Lake City, Utah. All right, let's go start that rear engine. I don't know if you can even hear me over all this clattering. I about died laughing the other day when I put up that short video of the engine, front engine running. Somebody commented, those injectors sounded pissed. They do. They did. All right. You ready? Oh, we must have air because you heard the horn honk. So these have a warning system on the back. This is the only unit that will actually operate. Anyway, if you lose oil pressure, it'll start honking the front horn. It works. Check this out. It's working. Actually, let's just lock the back one down and go see. Nope, just what I was afraid of. So I've either got to adjust that button up so it pushes farther down on it, or I've got to take that whole, take the whole valve out, take top off, and tighten the nut on it. More spring pressure. I don't want to do either. That pisses me off. So I have figured out why my throttle wouldn't go all the way down. When you push it down and push the throttle lock, the air that feeds the throttle valve has the T-fitting, and the other hose goes around to the to feed the throttle lock. Well, the hose that went over and up into the air cylinder for the throttle lock was leaking, and so it was just bleeding off enough pressure that it couldn't send full pressure back here. So after getting in there and fixing it, my air was down to 60 pounds, and I pushed the throttle lock down and come back here, and the throttle's all the way down. So that was my issue. So that's resolved. Now I got to put this front cover all back on. So while I've got the condenser core on the AC pulled out, I'll fire up the compressor and blow that out good before I charge it. So this is the throttle lock, and you can lock either or pedal. Push that down to idle and lock it. Okay, this is with the retarder full on and clear to the floor. See, watch that clean up quick. That baby's pumping some air. But you might need this fool around. Got tunes in here. Gotta have tunes. Sweet. I can't tell you how much of a performance difference that Switchblade Turbo has made for this scraper. Like I said, it's doubled the engine oil life. So we're going to put another one on one of the other 37s. You decide, Filthy Horror or number 2. And I'd like to switch them all over. If you've got an older piece of cat equipment, man, you need to update to a newer turbo. I keep trying to get old FSC Trucking to put one on his Kenworth. Man, he blows or his Peterbilt. He blows so much black smoke with that 3406B. He's just grinding it up. You save a lot of fuel too, because where you save the fuel is during the acceleration, because that smoke ain't going up, or that fuel ain't going up out the pipe as black smoke. Anyway, they work. I love them. Like I say, it's a VGT turbo, and it's, once the knife is open, it's just a regular turbo. It's not a magic power adder device. Now, it is a power adder to these old girls, because the amount of air that one of these new Borg Warners pumps over the old T18 is just night and day difference. Absolute night and day. So a regular 1693 343 set at 4 1/4 is going to make about 22 pounds of boost. And that's about all this made with the T18, unless you want to screw the rack out, but then you're going to burn them down because they don't pump enough air to feed the fuel. So as you saw with the retarder on, I get 25. So it does pump a little more pressure, but it's just the volume of air. And you see it in the black smoke reduction. Works good. Alright, this is another good reason Jeff needs a crane. When I was a younger man, I used to lift that up out of there, put it over there and set it. And I was always scared to death one of those corners was going to go into the radiator. But since I got a service truck, there's no reason to even mess with it. So, had to go town, buy me a new hose, because my other one, something happened. It collapsed inside and it's squealing. And the water don't hardly want to come out. So I'm going to get the steam cleaner, go after this radiator and clean it out. So I got 150 psi on the high side and 15 on the suction, which tells me that the expansion valve's dickered again. I hate those expansion valve systems. I absolutely hate them. If I redo this, I'm gonna figure out how to change it over to a tube setup. You just don't have the problem with those. They have a screen in them, catch any garbage. You just got an accumulator dryer instead of a dryer. Much better system. NASCAR laps around the yard. There goes Crazy Jeff and his scraper doing hot laps. I left that in there. What a dumbass. Okay. Sweet. Oh, I've had enough for today. I really should go get another scraper and bring it up here and get going on it, but I'm pooped. Maybe I'll go in the house, take a shower, and get the old Challenger out and go down, man. Bark at the car! You ready to bark at the car? He's gonna make a hot laps around the car while I start it. You ready? Oh, what a dog. I got weird stuff going on with my tachometer. I don't think it reads correctly. I don't know what's going on with it. If you let her idle down, look what it does. It goes up over 2,000.